Hello and welcome back to another Lost Ark video. This is Lost in the World, and for those who missed it last night, there was a bit of drama, god I hate that term, that kind of summed up the whole issue a lot of players have with Amazon and Smilegate and the dynamic between them both. Now in isolation, this wasn't anything massive. Things happen all the time in game development. Stuff gets delayed, developers are humans, and things go wrong. The overreaction by some people is pretty nuts a lot of the time, especially in the forums. You have people complaining about anything and everything. But the thing is, after this time, I think it's fair to say it's not in isolation. What we are seeing is a pattern emerging that seems to be very consistent in its theme, and that is that there is a clear issue in the lines of communication between Amazon and Smilegate, and as a result, the communication lines to us, the players. I'm not going to go through every single one, this isn't some kind of school report card, but I just want to go through the key ones really. I mean, incorrect release patch notes, timeframes being wrong, 24-hour notice on Argos release, last-minute testing issues with this patch in April, the patch being delayed for the April update, then the patch not being delayed for the April update, then the patch notes being wrong, and then the patch notes being corrected. I mean, and these patch notes that they're getting wrong, it's not small things. It's not like the odd mistake here and there. I mean, this is big stuff. This is completely different gear owning percentages, completely different content in South Vern. You know, these are big things. This is zero heads up on Argos release. Yes, they gave us a general time frame of next month, but just still say, oh yeah, it's out tomorrow, by the way. There's something just not quite right. Now, in my opinion, either Amazon fundamentally don't understand the product, or Smilegate are a very fluid dev that kind of move like water and simply release content as and when they see fit, and Amazon are having to kind of dance to Smilegate's tune. Now, I didn't play the Korean version of the game, and I can't, pretend that I know much about how they worked, but in terms of reading between the lines of other content creators who did play it, it feels like Smilegate definitely did just used to kind of drop updates out of the blue and just kind of throw things into patches and people weren't expecting it. Now, let's say this is the case. What can Amazon do about that? Well, not much really. You can't make a developer change its habits that have been set in stone over years. So maybe we just have to accept that this is just the way it goes with Smilegate. Should Amazon maybe be a bit more conservative with information and dates as to avoid the anger of the community? It's not a popular thought, but it might save them a lot of pain and therapy down the line. Okay, so what if it's a line of communication issue? Now, honestly, sometimes the answer is nowhere near as complicated as us, the consumer, think. What if it's just that the translation of the information coming through is just not happening correctly? There's clearly, maybe they're just using Google Translate, I don't know, but it just feels a bit weird that some things can go so wrong. Is there somebody in Smilegate that doesn't quite understand the changes that have been made for the Western version? Is there someone at Amazon who's kind of being given loads of different patch notes and there's loads of changes happening and they're not able to keep track of which patch notes are the ones they need to be kind of putting up on the website? I mean, it might be something like that, in which case, again, Smilegate and Amazon, then they need to have a clear idea and a clear conversation about what is happening in the near future. Like, okay, you can spitball various ideas about, we're thinking of doing this in 6 months time or this in 3 months time, but in terms of what's next, that should be pretty concrete in my opinion. And finally, we have everybody's favorite option, which is that Amazon are trying to ruin its own gaming studio by annoying all the players to play the game and invest their time and money in it in an attempt to break our souls before Jeff Bezos swoops in and takes our mind and body. But no, seriously, I just hope there are lessons that are being learnt here, because right now it feels like they're just not, and that is the biggest issue of all. I'm not a whiner, I don't like to complain about the games I enjoy, but the worrying part is when patterns begin to emerge, and I kind of think that's where we are right now. It's nowhere near enough to stop me playing the game. If you are that fickle on Lost Ark, you are never staying around for a long time anyway. A delay of a few days for a patch isn't anything new. Unlike other games, we all know the huge amount of content coming, and hopefully that allows players to give them some leeway. If I was a betting man, I'd say Amazon think it has its ear to the ground as to what the Western consumer wants. Smilegate are not too sure if Amazon actually know anything about what the consumer wants, and therefore what we're getting is some muddled middle ground between the two, with kind of Smilegate maybe dropping in changes that Amazon just not expecting at the last minute. I mean, I'm trying to decipher kind of what's going on, and obviously it's just a shot in the dark, but nobody really knows. If you were to really nitpick and look into it, if you look at Gold River's kind of body language and his tone when he's talking about Amazon when he released that video a couple of months ago, there is clearly an issue there. I mean, I find it hard to believe that somebody who's, signed a publishing contract with Amazon would be so brazen about even the smaller things. So clearly there is something going on where they're just not quite seeing eye to eye, and sadly, us as the player, we are suffering as a result. However, It's a great game. I'm absolutely loving the farming, the leveling of the characters, the endgame dungeons, the grinding, the min-maxing. Absolutely love it all. And on that note, I'm going to leave you with one of my favorite endings to a movie in terms of talking about the reality of life. And I think it sums up Lost Ark pretty well. Take care.
What did we learn, Palmer?
I don't know, sir.
I don't fucking know either. I guess we learned not to do it again.
Yes, sir.
I'm fucked if I know what we did.
Yes, sir. It's hard to say.